This film kind of reminded me of like The Bad Seed with the telekinesis aspect added to it. And I really appreciated the fact that out of the four kids, Ida was the one who seemed to be the purest, not Ida, Aisha seemed to be the purest of them all.
What was important to me was that all the characters have good and bad impulses, and even she can make a little bit fun of the others and laugh. And I mean, they are kids, you know, they do mistakes, they are feeling stuff and forgetting what consequences things have, and even the boy who becomes the most dangerous one, he is also just a victim. He's also just a kid. He has good feelings and bad feelings, but it just doesn't go well for him. So it's not like it's an evil kid story with like the black and white kind of Catholic worldview that a lot of horror movies have, that there's just like God and the devil and good and bad. I think it's more gray, you know, and that's the story, is how to navigate that, how to find your set of values and find your limits of what you feel is right.
Father, have you ever had a moment in your career and in your life where you were like, I just need a hug from my mom and dad?
I can remember like not getting into film school. You know, I was really close. I felt I was an adult. You know, I was early 20s or something, and it was just so close and such a letdown. And what you of course want then is you just want a hug. You know, you don't want to discuss it. You don't want someone to say, well, you could try next year, or maybe you do that a little bit better, or whatever. You just no talking, you know.
You just want that hug. You just want that. You just want that.
And I think, and my movie ends with a hug, you know, even though the parent have no idea what has happened and no idea why her child is devastated and needs to be supported, but words wouldn't help. There's nothing to say, but even if you don't understand your child, you can still hug him or her.
And I'm interested to know if you did a lot of research into autistic families and how they behave, how the parents behave toward the autistic child, how the siblings behave toward the autistic child, and how all of that played into how you crafted Anna for the Innocents.
On that, and I read an interview with a Norwegian author, and she was explaining in very open-hearted way, talking about her autistic son. And she described something she calls regressive autism, that her son was evolving normally with his language and communication and just singing and talking and communicating. And then suddenly when he was 3 or 4, he started to lose his language and retreating and entering that, lack of a better term, like autistic bubble. And I just felt that was so devastating to read that. It just haunted me, because that, for me as a parent, that's a horror film, you know? Because of course, if your child is born with any disability or nonverbal or whatever, I would hope and think that I would just love that child as he or she is. But if you feel you lost something, if you were communicating and you lose that, it's a very complicated grief.
You're right. It is a complicated grief, because they're not gone in the physical realm. They're physically there, but they're not able, and you're not able to communicate to them as you would like. But with autistic children, they have those huge breakthrough moments, and they last for like a sliver of a second, the same way it does with someone who has dementia, right?
Yes,
they have those moments where they're lucid and not.
Dementia is a very good comparison, like on the other side of life, you know, that you have that moment of clarity and, oh, he's back, you know, and then they go away again. And it's beautiful and it's devastating at the same time. And also what we're saying about the hug, some autistic children don't like that kind of physical contact.
Yeah, so they don't like to be touched. It freaks them out. They don't like to be
touched in that way, and that means that you you can't communicate maybe, or you can communicate in different ways, but you can't even give that. You can't give that hug. It's such a and that's such a basic part of parenting, that you can always fall back on that kind of physical expression of your love. And it just felt, oh yeah, maybe this should be part of the story. Maybe that closed off world of childhood would be even more, it would be even clearer to people that those themes with a nonverbal kid, and I could tell this story of that kind of regression with the supernatural powers, of course, and the expression that suddenly the autistic child opens up and then withdraws. And it just made sense to make that part of the story. And then, of course, I did a lot of research, talking to families and parents with nonverbal autistic children, talking to doctors and specialists, and reading and watching documentaries and all of that stuff, and just making sure that even though I'm making some sort of fable, because there's the supernatural elements, I want it to feel real and to not be an insult to people who are living that, and those family dynamics where one sibling is very demanding and the easy child is sometimes ignored because you only have so many resources as a parent and time and focus. So sometimes the easy child is ignored and will feel jealous and will feel a lot of conflicting feelings, and all that seemed very interesting and true to the story.
Yeah, it really was. And I just want to close it out with one thing. It feels like Ben is a little bit of a bully. He's a little bit of a bully with some special powers, right? Have you ever been bullied in school to the point where it escalated to some type of violence like it does with these children?
I think Ben is a little bit of a bully because he's been bullied, which is often the case, that the language of violence is also something you learn. And the fact that you maybe don't have the best role models at home will also make it harder for you to develop your own sense of morality or control those feelings that are unacceptable, of rage, jealousy, those things that we all feel, but are much stronger in some than others, and all that. So I've never been really bullied, but luckily I've never bullied anyone. I think that would be even worse thing to look back on, that you were part of that. And I know people who have done that who really live with that guilt. But what I know I had, and what I see in my kids, is that anger, that you have, if you feel you're being badly treated or just something triggers you as a kid, you can have those explosions of anger. And in that moment, you could do something very stupid, And I know I was angry at my father while he was driving, and I threw like a coat over his head while he was driving on the highway. And I wasn't thinking,
Clearly.
Kids do that. Kids are, they don't think about the consequences. They are so in the moment and true to that feeling. And that feeling can change in a second, but that second can be devastating.
And I think that is one of the greatest things about the innocence. It's so psychological that it makes you think about so many different lanes and vantage points when it comes to being a child. It makes you kind of go back and think about, ooh, what kind of kid was I? Did I have those moments? You know what I mean? It really kind of makes you think. So I'm so grateful that you've made this film, because I was all in my feels about it. I really was. I had to watch it a couple of times because I'm like, oh, this is deep. It's a lot deeper than I thought it was going to be. So thank you for that. Thank you for this interview. I really enjoyed speaking with you. And thank you for breaking some things down for me, because now I have a better understanding of some things that were going on. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for all the kind words and for talking about our movie. We need that. So thanks a lot.
I got you. Thanks so much.